Hi, this is Leighton Jim, the Director of Development for the American Documentary and Animation Film Festival. We have a very special edition today. Ankita Kumar, who was the director of uh, Far From Home. I'm sorry, we were talking about another film. I almost said the other film, but Far From Home, a very intense, gripping movie. And we've talked about it from last year when she was at our festival. We're talking about it again today because she's in the process of trying to get an Oscar nomination for a very important film. And I'm going to start off by just saying the other film that I was talking about was No Other Land, the movie that won the best documentary picture. And I think there's a lot of parallels between your film, Far From Home, to No Other Land. Can you talk to me about what parallels you see between those two films and why it's so important to get word out about these topics about refugees?
First of all, thank you, Leighton, for having me, and thank you for the comparison with No Other Land, which was an excellent documentary. I had the honor of watching it this year, shortly after it won the Oscar. I feel, in terms of parallels, you're right. There are a lot of parallels between both the films. So, my film, Far From Home, is about Afghan refugees in India, and it's about the struggle refugees have to go through when they come to countries without a refugee law. And I think, in terms of shooting the film, we faced a lot of challenges similar to what the No Other Land documentarians faced. uh, for us, the biggest challenge was getting the subjects to come on camera and talk to us, because there was just so much fear about refugees getting deported in India, because India has a refugee law now. It got implemented on 1st of September, and things were in the works back then when I was shooting the film, about Muslim refugees can get deported because the Bureau of Immigration has heightened powers. And in general, there's a sentiment against Muslim refugees in India. They are no longer welcome. So the subjects were very scared to talk to us. So Samira, who is the central character of the film, is an extremely brave woman, because she put herself out there, came on camera, talked about her experience as a refugee in India. And the film also has other characters from the Afghan community talking about violence against Muslims, facing discrimination, struggling with poverty, and a lot of other issues. So I feel, in terms of like just the challenges of getting this film made, I think there were a lot of parallels with No Other Land. And recently, there was a lot of controversy at an Indian film festival where two films were pulled. One film was called Farming the Revolution, and the other was called My Sweet Land. Both were pulled because of pressure from the Indian government. So that's the kind of state India is in right now. And this film, talks about a very important and tricky issue in India. So I am yet to see what the reception is going to be when we release it actively in India next year. But I really hope that people watch more films of refugee issues, because that's so important in today's world. We should not forget them, especially refugees from Afghanistan.
And then, obviously, the reason we're talking to you is you're putting together a campaign for an Oscar nomination. And, just as a filmmaker, that means a lot. That would mean a lot for you and mean a lot for us to be associated with you. But that's not their only reason. Can you tell me why it's important to get a nomination and just create more awareness for this topic? Because um, it's it's a it's a very troubling time for the family that you featured in your film.
Yeah, Leighton, I think more than ever, this particular year has been very hard for the family and all the refugees in India. This year, on 1st of September, as I said previously, the Indian government implemented a new immigration act. So my film talked about the Citizenship Amendment Act. So it was talking about the amendment, but that implementation has happened this year. That means that the subjects of my film are in immediate danger. The new Immigration Act of the Indian government states that only refugees of certain religions from neighboring countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh will get immediate citizenship, and the Bureau of Immigration can now find and deport people, illegal immigrants they no longer consider welcome, and that is mostly Muslim refugees. So you're singling out refugees because of their faith, right? And this is a very scary time to be a refugee in India. And I feel that when we talk about refugee issues, we look a lot at the West and we criticize the West. We look at, we talk about immigrants coming on a boat to Europe, or we talk about immigrants at the US Mexico border. We hardly ever look at countries where there are no refugee laws, right? And that's not a good group to be a part of. Like, that's, I feel, we this film needs a nomination so that people can start the conversation about what's happening to refugees in countries where they're not part of the, Western media narrative, where they fall through the cracks. For example, if you look at countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, India, they don't really have any refugee framework to integrate these people into the country. So even the refugees see these countries as transit points. Like, we'll go to Pakistan or we'll go to India for a couple of months or years or a decade maybe even, and from there we'll try to push our case with the UN Refugee Agency and go to other countries. So that way it's a very interesting story, and it's a story that's never been covered before. So I think in terms of its coverage, in terms of what it's trying to tell, it's a very unique story. And it's a story that will really make people, it'll bring out the emotions in the people. People will empathize with these people, desperate people, who have had to leave their homes, and who are not refugee, not immigrants by choice, right? So
Mhm.
I feel that's why it's very important for us to get the nomination, and I would be very, very grateful if Academy voters shortlist us.
Another thing is, can you talk about the limbo that your family faces in India? I don't know if people really kind of in this country probably doesn't understand that, and I got a taste of it watching your film. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling because it's so different from what we talk about and we experience here in this country.
Yeah, so I think when, we usually criticize, as I was saying, we criticize the United States or, Canada and all these countries for not doing a good job. If you compare it to what's happening in these countries which don't have a framework, these countries look like they look like a model, like a great case, For example, United States has an asylum policy to integrate, refugees. India does not have anything like that. You cannot seek asylum in India.
Mm.
So, I feel that what happens is when you land in a country like India, what the process that we showed in the film, and that limbo situation, as you're saying, it's it's a very tricky situation where you're constantly running around in circles. So you land in India, you file for your card. That card does not guarantee you anything apart from the right to stay in the country and seek asylum, and you cannot seek asylum. Because you cannot seek asylum, you cannot get documentation. Because you cannot get documentation, you cannot open a bank account. You don't have a bank account, you cannot get a job. Your children can go to school because there's a right to education in India, but they can only complete till high school, and then they can't go to college. If they go to college, they can't find a job. So it's like this constant cycle of, like, that whatever you do, you cannot escape your fate. And that is so scary. It's like this constant limbo, like it's knowing this. And what I really appreciated about the Afghan community particularly, because that's the community I'm looking at, is they just don't give up. They know that they're in a limbo situation, but they keep trying. The subjects of my film, they're young boys. They're going to work, they're going to the gym, they want to look good, they also want to, they want to lead a good life. Like, they want to lead the life like I'm leading, as a youngster, in the Western world. They want that life, and they're not ashamed to admit it, that they want a good life. But can they get a good life? No, they cannot. That's the simple answer that the film is saying. They cannot get an opportunity or a shot at a good life just because the systems are not in place. And that's the tragedy of being in a country like India. And I also show in the film that why these subjects ended up in India. They ended up in India because they had a visa, a medical visa, because the main character of my film is suffering from a rare deficiency, rare disorder actually, a rare neurological disorder. So she actually had already had a visa for India. So that's why they flew to India and they decided to come there. They would have ideally gone by foot to another country, but they had a visa and they wanted to escape. They knew the Taliban was going to come to Kabul, and they took the first flight out, with whatever they had. In fact, in the film, there's this heartbreaking scene where Samira says, "I don't have many things. All I have is a photo of my sons," and she takes out that photo and shows it. It's heartbreaking to think that they just grabbed whatever they could and they left. And they came to India and they got stuck because now the government doesn't seem like the government doesn't want them. They're in the limbo situation. The UN sees you. The UN is asking questions like, "You flew here. You got a passport, so you are not that important. Like, you have a passport to fly. You're not in immediate danger." So all these questions are being raised, and it's creating this permanent limbo situation for them. And that's exactly what we show in the film. And we tried to show in 32 minutes. It's a short documentary. I forgot to mention that.
Mhm. Short but very powerful documentary. This is also a follow-up that we were able to bring you back to Palm Springs to do a private screening from Medill alumni, but a great community in Palm Springs, the community that lives and living out a senior community or 55 plus. And can you talk about that experience? And because we had a great Q&A, and there were some great questions they asked during that Q&A. Can you talk about that experience and also the campaign of trying to get recognitions from the Academy?
Yeah, I think the screening we had at Living Out in Palm Springs was the best screening I've had till now, just in terms of the questions I got asked from by the community. And it just felt like they really understood the film at its core, because a lot of the questions that came to me were questions that hadn't been asked before. One of the questions, the most important question, was about the disorder that Samira has, and we
Mhm.
really reveal it towards the end of the film, you know. And the doctor, she was a doctor, and she actually explained what the disorder is and how bad it gets for patients. You know, it gets so bad in certain cases that some people just shoot themselves. Like, it's so painful, that trigeminal nerve, in your face. That's how much
Mhm.
pain the main character of my film is in. And then there were also a lot of questions around the process of making the film and how we went about it. Who was the original subject? That's something they deduced, that the original subject was different, and I have to give it to the community at Living Out. Like, they deduced that from the film, because I was very surprised and very happy when they asked that question, because Samira was actually not the original subject of the film. The
Mhm.
original subject was another woman, and I think the reason they guessed that is because, they know, they have that bandwidth to understand how difficult it is to shoot with refugees, and there is always a plan B or a plan C, because a plan A might not, come through. And that's the, risk of working on these kind of topics, because you know that these people are genuinely scared for their lives. And the original subject of my film refused to shoot with us, and we had to just roll with it, and we had to find another subject, build that kind of bond and connection with her, get her to talk to us about some very private moments of her life, while knowing very well that there is the fear of persecution by the Taliban and the Indian government if this film goes out to the world. So I really am very grateful to the family. So that experience was great. And in terms of the campaign, we are going to be doing a lot of screenings in the Bay Area, starting, three screenings will be on 5th, 6th, and 7th of December. The
Mhm.
reason we are going all out in the Bay Area is because one of the characters of my film is, from the Bay Area. He's an Afghan refugee who came to the United States in the 80s, and he transited via India. So he's actually in the film, and that's the reason we are going all out in the Bay Area and doing a lot of screenings there. So I would love for Academy voters in the Bay Area to come watch Far From Home, because it has a strong connection to the San Francisco Bay Area. We are also going to be doing a screening in LA. The date is not finalized yet, but I'm also hoping to do some more screenings across the country, probably in Chicago, because I'm a proud Northwestern alum. So hopefully some screenings in Chicago as well. So yeah, I'm looking to bring the film to as many people as possible, um, before voting begins in December. But yeah, it's a grassroots movement. It's not like, I have a huge budget to do this. I started this film while I was a grad student and finished it after I graduated. So, I'm a young filmmaker. So I'm trying to start a movement and a conversation around this film. So, irrespective of whether we get the nomination or not, I will still continue screening the film and hopefully keep raising the conversation and bring the film to India next year. That's my dream. Because we got a big Bollywood actor as executive producer recently, so I'm going to be bringing the film to India. So that's one thing I'm really excited about next year.
Can you talk about your new executive producer that you got? Because I know when you came to Palm Springs, you're talking about trying to find one, and that a little bit before we spoke today, about a week ago, I saw that you posted that you did find your executive producer. Can you talk to me about her?
Yeah, so it's, Nasiruddin Shah. He's one of India's biggest actors. He's the recipient of several big awards in India. In fact, any person from the diaspora or India knows his name. He's that big.
Mm.
And he has come on board as executive producer. This is the first time he's come on board as executive producer of any film. I am so grateful he chose this particular project. Mr. Shah was a natural choice for me because he has been very vocal about refugee issues, and he also particularly likes the documentary space. Because he believes that it's a space of greater posterity in telling the lives of actual people. So I'm really grateful that he loves the documentary space and decided to select my project as the first documentary to produce as an executive producer. And I feel his contribution is going to be immense, especially when we bring the film to the wider Indian community, because I feel there will be a lot more support from the Indian community with him on board, because now more people will want to know what the film is about. And I think there will be a more objective view of what this film is about, because I don't want a lot people to think that we made this film with a particular agenda to talk about certain issues. We made this film to talk about the situation of Afghans
Mhm.
and showcase a community that has a long-standing historic relationship with India. This is not a community that should be discarded or put in a corner and be viewed as a community that's causing problems in India. This community is genuinely trying to integrate, and even if they're not trying to integrate, they are genuinely trying to make a living and live a better life. And I feel Mr. Shah also saw that in the film, and I'm very grateful he's come on board, and I'm really hoping that it'll help us get to more people in the Indian community and diaspora. Till now we have gotten a lot of support from the Afghan people, so very great community of people. They have given us a lot of support. I've been featured on a very big podcast called Burkhas and Beer, and a lot of the Afghan people are giving me a lot of support. So I'm really grateful for Mr. Shah's support now, because that means the Indian community is also going to come on board. So I feel when the community gathers and helps
Mhm.
you and supports you, a lot of great things can happen.
And I gotta apologize. I said her, so my apologies. I'm so sorry about that. Um, so take us through the process. When will you find out about if you get shortlisted? And then if you could explain to our audience a little bit about being shortlisted and a little bit about the process that we're going through to get a nomination and who knows, maybe even win an Oscar.
I am. I myself. I learned about the process recently, so forgive me if I miss a few steps along the way. But the process, as far as I know, is that
Mhm.
now we have submitted the film. My film has officially been submitted. It's part of the Academy screening room, so Academy voters can see the film. Voting officially begins on December 8th. And then it officially ends on the 12th. And I think by the 16th, they'll be announcing the shortlisted films. And
Mhm.
I think after the shortlist is announced, it'll go into another round of voting, and then there will be a nomination. So I think only 5 films make the cut. So it's a tough competition. There are a lot of great films out there. I think this year particularly has a lot of great films. But I feel because my film is on the refugee community and Afghanistan, and it's also looking at a country that is typically not reported when we talk about refugee issues. I really hope and pray that we do get at least shortlisted, because I really want more people to at least watch this film and start the conversation and around something so important.
And then can you talk to me about what was the trigger point? I don't know if we've covered this before. The trigger point for because you made this film and then showed it at Amdocs. At what point or when triggered it to say we should go after an Oscar nomination? What was
Yeah,
that process like?
I love this question, Leighton, because I think this is a very important question, because I feel that, I feel as a woman, especially as a female director, I was, I was in that space where I was like, I don't know if I should go after something this big. And I think I have to really thank my producer, Brent Huffman, for pushing me to do this, because, I really feel this film does have the potential to win a lot of good awards. And in fact, we did a festival run last year. We screened at over 8 film festivals. We won 8 film festivals. We won an Audience Choice Award at the Chicago South Asian Film Festival. So that means people do like this film and they want to watch it. The reason that solidified my resolve to submit it for the Academy Awards was when on 1st of September, the Indian government implemented this Immigration Act. What shocked me was that people were not talking about this. when the first amendment came out in 2019, the Indian government wanted to do this. There were protests across, India. Like I went to a couple of the protests. People were like mobilizing like anything and protesting. And now it sort of feels like people are in a space of like they have sort of accepted that okay, this is part of life, these things happen, and we sort of give up. And I was like, if at this point I don't submit this film to the Academy Awards, it feels like I'm also giving up. So I should not give up and I should submit this film. And whatever buzz we are generating, people are talking about this, people are noticing that this is what is happening to Afghans, across the world. So I really feel that, after 1st of September, I got more into the resolve of let's do this, And now that I'm doing it, I know it's a lot of work. So I really appreciate those who do these Oscar campaigns. I know they've been doing it for months and months on an end. So I was a little late to the game. But I feel that, especially after the 1st of September, it's very scary to see that people are not talking about this, and people of subjects of such films are in immediate danger. And my nobody has ever made a film on this topic in India. It's shocking. In a country of 1.5 billion people, nobody ever made a film on Afghan refugees, or in fact they've not even looked at other refugee communities. There are some great documentaries like for news channels, but like there's no indie film that's explored, the lives of refugees in the way I have. So I really feel that we started doing a grassroots campaign after September, and we've made a lot of headway. So I have to give this message out to all women directors out there. Please believe in your work and aim for more than what you think you can aim for, because trust me, like anything can happen at any point of time. So I think as a first time woman director, I was sort of very hard on myself, and I was like, I have to make a film that, looks like a certain way or feels like a certain way for it to get to the Oscars. It's never about that. It's always about the content and the belief system in you. So I think as a woman, I'm trying to channel, like get out of that mindset and get into the growth mindset that no, I can go and achieve anything. So
I'm
yeah,
glad you
long.
have. I'm glad. I'm sorry. I didn't cut you. I'm glad you have. The film is extraordinary. I got a chance to watch it again, and the filmmaking is fantastic. I know you're a young filmmaker, but you're a very sophisticated storyteller. I think that comes through your film. No one would think you're young because it's just so well told, and the craftsmanship is fabulous. And I hope Oscar voters watch it because it's a terrific film and an important film in our time where we just need a lot more awareness, and I just hope they watch it. Ankita, is there anything I might have missed that we haven't touched on?
No, I think we've touched upon everything. I really appreciate you, always giving us so much support to me and the film. And yeah, I think the only thing I would like to touch upon is that I'm actually continuing to work on refugees. So
Hmm.
my focus areas, I have not fo I, I aim to make more films on such topics in the future. So my next project that I'm producing is on a Syrian Armenian artist
Hmm.
in LA. So that's my next project, and I'm also working on a film on music. So
Oh,
I'm trying to make my first feature doc is going to be on Indian classical music. So
oh,
uh,
wow, that sounds awesome.
yeah, these are my upcoming projects. So I'm hoping to, I I can tell the Academy voters you will see me around.
Well, let's hope so. You do fabulous work. I'm excited to hear about your next two. And you're also extraordinary journalists. The reporting on that film was terrific, and you're part of a great tradition of Medill School graduates. And we were excited to have Medill part of our festival, and especially have you as part of our festival. And we're excited. Hopefully people will watch. That's the big key. So if you see the film Far From Home in your neighborhood, please go watch it and spread the word because it's a fabulous film and an important film. And especially if you have friends who are voting for the Oscars, definitely let them know. So this is an important film. And Keita, thank you so much. Great to talk to you again, and continued good luck. Hopefully, we'll be doing another one of these interviews when you have a gold statue.
Thank you so much, Leighton.